My learning journey throughout the Creativity and Educational Futures module was an interesting and exciting experience, despite the fact that in the beginning of the module there were concepts that seemed too complicated and confusing to me. My first challenge was when I was called in our first season to think about my power as a person to affect and shape the future of my country's education. Through the use of a thinking tool that was developed by Fesser et al., we were asked to express our perceptions about the future of education, how open, closed, and certain we think that it is, and to reflect upon our ability to control and influence it, by wondering if the future is in our own hands or in the hands of others. I chose and put myself in the building side quadrant because I believe that given the pace of the social, economic, technological, and environmental changes, we cannot predict with accuracy what the future of our education will be like. However, my optimism makes me hope that our flexibility, our responsiveness, and adaptability will drive our futures. Based on my experience and due to the fact that some of my classmates changed their orientation at the end of the module, feeling more confident about their power, I realized how different times and in different contexts we may find ourselves with different orientations. As Yadullah has stated, there is a multiplicity of educational futures, since there is more than one possible future. During the module, we were called to create our probable, possible, and preferable futures several times, based on different contexts and facts, and we realized that predicting and creating educational futures involves, as Kraft has highlighted, negotiation of multiple perspectives and collaborative construction of possibilities. We also concluded that we should challenge the probable futures, which for me are the used ones, by deeply thinking if our image of the future is a desired one, or if it is unconsciously borrowed from someone else. Obviously, the marketized and industrial educational model that we inherit from schools and colleges, and which emphasize on students' performativity, is the used future. It is a necessity to push away the used future and move forward by looking for alternative futures. Creativity is the key both for shaping our educational futures and preparing for the uncertainty of the 21st century. But what is creativity? I found it a bit tricky and complicated to define creativity. According to Bonnen, human creativity is something of a mystery, not to say a paradox. It is the ability to come up with ideas that are new, valuable, and surprising. Creative ideas may be unpredictable or impossible, but they happen. Everyone has the capacity to be creative in some way. The challenge is to develop it. When thinking about educational futures, we are most likely to be thinking about creativity that is little say than big say. Little say is a kind of everyday creativity. For Kraft, at the heart of little say creativity is the idea of possibility thinking, which for her means refusing to be stumped by circumstances, but being imaginative in order to find a way around a problem. So being creative also means being flexible, resilient, and confident to deal with the difficulties and challenges of everyday life. Beghetto and Kaufman have developed a fourfold model of creativity which includes not only little say and big say creativity, but also mini say and pro say creativity, which is the expert creativity. Although I found really interesting the mini say creativity, which is a more personal, developmental, and transformative kind of creativity that students need to develop, are more associated to little say creativity and possibility thinking. After the analysis of these terms, we discussed different ideas of what education futures could and should be like, what challenges are emerged, and the importance of creativity. We debated if the technological landscape of the 21st century affects the nature of childhood and youth by empowering them, or if it poses children and young people at risk, and thus cocooning is important. It is my firm belief that the digital age definitely opens up opportunities and possibilities for young people and offers new forms of communication and engagement. According to Kraft, the 4 Ps, including possibility thinking, plurality of identities, playfulness, and dialogic participation, are the 4 characteristics that are developed in a digital world and enable the transition from what is to what might be. In these digital spaces, children are given the chance to socialize, coexist, and co-construct with others, explore, play, and participate in a wide variety of activities. Distances are annihilated, and people can build online communities where they can communicate with others who are miles away, interact with them, and share their experiences. Furthermore, with the use of digital technologies, learning and play are combined, especially nowadays that children's playfulness is overshadowed in schools. Becoming aware of the see-to-learn approach helped us to realize how co-creativity can be developed with the use of digital games and how children's motivation, engagement, and co-participation can be increased through enjoyable learning. Besides, according to Anna Kraft, in order for educational situations to contain potential for creativity, there needs to be a strong combination of participation and possibilities. It is obvious that the use of technology enables the transformation of learning and teaching, as active and collaborative learning is promoted. Thus, it is important to embrace technology. In the digital age, teachers' role is of vital importance, as it is necessary for young people to be equipped with some values and guided about the appropriate, safe, and considerable use of technology. In addition, our session with the artists from the Carousel project enabled me to understand the importance of developing partnerships and the new possibilities that are opened up for teaching and learning. We as teachers have to build partnerships with parents, artists, the local community, other professionals, and sometimes even with policymakers. We need to work together, bring our experiences and knowledge, and create communities of practice. According to Wegner, mutual engagement, joint enterprise, and shared practices characterize communities of practice. Thus, I firmly believe that the Carousel project is one of them. Playing the Zach story also motivated us to talk about confrontation, which is inspired by the Italian word confronto, a term that is used in Reggio Emilia pedagogies. Confrontation is really important for developing partnerships, as sometimes we are asked to collaborate with people with differing values and priorities, such as policymakers. In these situations, discussion and interactive dialogue are necessary. Everyone needs to be open-minded, listen with respect to each other, and focus on the common goals and benefits. Whilst humanizing creativity is also essential, as the resolving of conflicts necessitates compassion, empathy, and negotiation, and the development of new ideas requires collaborative thinking and shared action, according to Chappell. Furthermore, our visit to Sand School enabled us to see how possibility thinking could be fostered in a school and promote creative learning. According to Kraft, possibility thinking involves imagination, question posing and responding, risk-taking, action, innovation, play and immersion. When possibility thinking is developed, students become more imaginative and innovative in generating ideas or solutions, are given more possibilities for action, and are encouraged to take control of their learning journey. Sand School is a typical example of a democratic and alternative school where there is a flattened hierarchy between students and teachers, and where creative learning conversations which open up dialogic spaces are developed, as Chappell and Kraft have mentioned. Students make their own choices, take on responsibilities, make mistakes, and they fail. They are also given the time and space to explore, question, think, and create their own curriculum, considering their interests, talents, and capabilities. It is sad that in my country we lack the schools where students' voices are heard. One of the most inspiring people I met during the module is Joe Evans, who was one of the head teachers of the schools involved in the study that was conducted by the Possibility Thinking team. The aim of the study was to examine how possibility thinking can become the driving force for creative change in primary schools. Jo has stood firm to her beliefs and ideologies of what education's aim should be, and shared them with us. I completely agree with her opinion that schools need to redefine their goals and resist performativity. As a teacher, I also believe that ethos, compassion, honesty, trust, and inclusion are necessary to be developed in the 21st century, where there is a crisis of humanistic education. Students' well-being and empowerment should be the focus of educators. Learning needs to be social, collaborative, and cooperative. Emphasis should be given on their effort instead of their performance and exam results. This is my drawing through which I try to express my reflections and thoughts about creativity and educational futures. I use the metaphor of school being like a tree. As a tree needs water and sun to grow up, so do we need little say creativity and possibility thinking, not only to shape our possible and preferable educational futures, but also to prepare young people for the uncertainty of the future. As you can see, the probable futures are the withering leaves of the tree, which need to be cut, while the possible and preferable futures are the green leaves and the flowers that blossom. For me, the possible and preferable futures are all the ideas of what education could be like that we discussed and shared throughout the module. Although we cannot completely transform the whole educational system, we can enable, as Chappell says, quiet revolutions to happen in our classroom, which grow from the bottom up and align personal with wider values.